We spent the past couple of years in a crazy hot market. Louisville home sales decline as demand outpaces supply. Effective communication is at the core of any situation. If you master these two ideas, you'll have a chance of being successful at residential real estate marketing. I think you need to be looking for investment opportunities that move the needle. The market will never crash if demand exceeds supply. This is what I've been telling you all along.
This is the Jay Pitts Show. And we're back, folks. Welcome back to the Jay Pitts Show here on Talk Radio 1080. I am your host, Jay Pitts, here with Ryan Harris. Ryan's giving me a funny look. Like, you know, every time I bring the show in at the top, it's a little in the room extra excited.
Yeah.
It's just like out of nowhere, from dead silent to here we are.
I heard a sales guy one time talk about, well, I wouldn't say he's a sales guy. He was an entrepreneur who started a company, and I met him through my entrepreneurial journey with a past company I started. And he said, you know, I looked at it as when I'm working or I'm talking to somebody and trying to get something done, it's an acting performance for me. I could be having the worst day ever.
Oh, yeah.
Terrible morning, but when it's time for me to perform in front of somebody or a client, I turn that actor's face on, and
Dude,
there I am, even if I don't feel like it.
I swear. Okay, so I could not tell you how many times I would be driving into the office on a Friday or a Monday morning, you know, because we have our team meeting on Monday morning or our roundtable training for the brokerage on Fridays, and I would just turn on hype music in the car and just like try to lock in and like vibe out and just like get myself in a place mentally where I could walk in the door and bring the energy. Because here's the thing, and it you know, fortunately or unfortunately, our business model, it relies heavily upon my involvement.
Yep.
You know, like, and if I come in and I am less than ideal, like, I don't know why anybody would want to be here.
Yep.
That if I'm bringing the energy down, why are you here? Why does anybody want to be affiliated with this company? If the owner of the company can't project, you know, good energy, why would anybody want to be here?
Yeah, it's tough to do when you don't have a voice for 3 weeks, huh?
I didn't have a voice, so yes, the voice makes a big difference.
Yeah.
And I'm very thankful that it's back. You know, I tried to sing a little bit, which I'm not a good singer. In the car the other day, a song came on. I was kind of like, and I was like, my voice cracked, and I was like, dude.
Were we ever going to get you to sing on the radio?
No. I do sing at company events every once in a while.
Yes.
Yeah,
I remember that.
Have you witnessed? It's
First
not great.
time, I think.
Was it the concert? That was my worst performance.
Was
Friends in Low Places?
yes.
Why would that? Why,
At Gravely?
Yes. What would have possessed me to sing the hardest song that there ever is to sing?
It was with Zach too, wasn't it?
No, that was the year before. We sang some. Zach was something. He wanted to sing some Blake Shelton song, and it was bad. He didn't know any of the words. I sang Joker Steve Miller Band, which was pretty decent, I think, for me. I mean, it's not like good, but it was decent. It was not embarrassing, and I do know all the words to that song. I also sang. Were you there when I sang "Devil Went Down to Georgia"? Which is not really singing.
Maybe.
Yeah, you were probably highly intoxicated.
I haven't gotten too. There's only been one
Company party
that I got a little too wild at, and that was the year we
1020.
all went to the first year at 1020.
At Wild Horse or what's that place? Wild Horse Saloon?
High Horse.
High Horse. Sorry.
There you go.
Butchering local business names. Sorry about that, guys. Frankly, I was a little intoxicated by the time I made it.
You probably thought it was called Wild Horse that night.
Yeah, I probably did. It was wild. That's
Yeah.
the thing. See, here's the thing here at RPP. We have fun.
Oh, yeah.
We have fun. And it doesn't always involve overindulging in alcohol.
Nope.
But from time to time.
So speaking of that, I think that's something a lot of new agents have to learn.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of going out to lunch and getting a beer or two.
Yeah.
But I think the longer you're an agent, you start realizing I don't have to do that. And it's, for me, if I have a beer or two at lunch, I want to take a nap after and do nothing the rest of the
course.
day.
There's none of that for me.
I don't think some people react that way to
I've
it,
never ever been that guy. Never could do it. Like if I have any alcohol whatsoever, there is nothing work related being done after that.
Yeah, nothing. But
I suppose these days my job is a bit less technical and a bit more relationship driven. So it could, but it doesn't. Like we go to Topgolf. Like if I have a beer at Topgolf, I'm not writing contracts that night.
yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, some people can do that. It's not me.
Yeah, we're doing the Topgolf League. I go there. I don't drink.
I don't drink.
9 out of 10
I drink water.
times. Yeah,
I drink water, and anyway, that's neither here nor there. But yeah, it's I think one of those things when you get your license, like every title company, every home inspector, like wants to take you out for drinks and for lunch and buy you coffee and all that, and you're like, oh, this is weird. I've never had anybody.
yeah.
But it's because they want your referrals, and I get that. It's part of the game, but most everybody does it for a little while, and then it slows down.
Yeah, and for the record, we have nothing against people drinking.
No.
Both do it.
No,
But
of course.
if you are looking for a reason to drink less, start wearing a watch that tracks your sleep. I swear, you have one beer at night ruins your sleep for the night. At least it does for me. It's pretty insane.
I noticed, and I don't have, I wear an Apple Watch. I don't wear it to sleep. I do have a sleep app. I have a free version. I could probably pay for something way more substantial, but I can even tell. I get a sleep score, and I don't know how accurate it is. I assume there's some accuracy to it. But yeah, one beer. I had one beer last night. My sleep score was 60%. I did not drink the night before at all. Even for the Super Bowl, I didn't. For whatever reason, I was just at home with the kids.
Yeah.
And my score was like 87.
Yeah.
One beer.
It's crazy.
It was a pint, so I mean it's more than a 12-ounce beer, but still.
Yeah, I wear this big old. I wear a Garmin Sapphire Solar to sleep, and my tan line in the summer is gnarly with this thing. It never comes off unless I charge it. That's literally it.
Yeah.
But all right, let's jump into this episode. So, talk some pop culture to start.
Okay.
What does pop culture mean to you when you hear that?
Well, it's just what it is. Popular culture. It's actors and actresses and musicians and these days social media influencers, probably athletes, etc. I mean, people that are famous for being famous to a certain extent. They probably at least started out having substantial talent for something. Mm-hmm. But then it kind of takes on. It probably also, pop culture can refer to the themes that are popular, the language, the culture.
Yeah,
culture.
I agree. Pretty much anything on Twitter.
Anything on
That's
Twitter,
trending.
a lot of TikTok, a lot of social media in general.
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe not Facebook. Facebook is unpopular culture.
We can jump into it. Super Bowl.
Super Bowl.
I'll be honest. I didn't watch the whole thing. I fell asleep before.
I did watch the whole
overtime.
My son, my fifth grader wants to. He's very interested now, so that makes it cool for me. When I'm the only one watching sports, like I tend to doze off and wake up.
I bet that does make it more fun.
Golf naps. But when he's into it and invested, which he was very against the Chiefs winning.
Yep. As I think most people were.
I think his were probably some of the more annoying reasons. Like, it was the Taylor Swift thing, which I think it's not like the political spin on it that was unfortunate about it with Taylor Swift. I think it's more that like his little sister loves Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
And knows nothing about sports. And so she
feels like she won and he feels like he lost.
She's cheering for the Chiefs because Taylor Swift is a fan of the Chiefs, and he thinks that is the stupidest reason to be a fan of a team ever. And so he's criticizing her. And so he's by default cheering for the 49ers, which he's not a Niners fan. So, and I kind of wanted to see Christian McCaffrey win, to be honest. And honestly, I kind of wanted to see Brock Purdy win because of the Cam Newton thing. Did you hear about that?
No.
So Cam Newton was quote, Newton is not in this, and he's very eccentric. Oh, yeah. And he was a huge talent, but the game's past him, I think, personally. Mm-hmm. And he very much resents the fact that he's not on a roster, and so he has a podcast, and he's very vocal, and he's got some social media following. Well, anyway, he says that Brock Purdy is the 11th best player on his own team, and he calls him a game manager, which has become kind of an insult, pejorative. And so he's a game manager, not a game changer. Well, Purdy clapped back and said, I may be, and luckily so, I'm the 11th best player on my team, but there are 90 QBs on a roster in the NFL, and Cam Newton isn't one of them.
Oh.
So he claps back at him. And so, like, Purdy has had a great season. Nobody expected him to be what he is. But, I like that story. Like, that's an underdog story for me. And that Christian McCaffrey, because Ed McCaffrey was in his prime when I was growing up.
Yep.
Winning Super Bowls with Elway and the Broncos. And so, like, that story. And, like, the fact that Mike Shanahan's son, Kyle Shanahan, is the coach of the Niners. And, he was the coach of Ed McCaffrey. So now Ed McCaffrey's kid is playing for Mike Shanahan's kid. And, like, that was just kind of a cool story for me.
I saw somebody said Shanahan is the, what's the secession?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's
his name?
Roy. Last name is Roy. What's the character's name? The oldest son.
Yeah, that ruins everything.
Yeah,
They compared him to that. Well, which is a little. I mean, he's been to the Super Bowl and probably should have went to the Super Bowl last year if Brock Purdy didn't get hurt.
Yeah, it's true.
But yeah.
But anyway, that's all
right. We are going to cut to a couple ad sponsors. We'll be back with some more pop culture and jump into some real estate talk. This is the Jay Pitts Show, Talk Radio 1080, Real News, Real Talk. I'm your co-host, Ryan Harris. We'll be back in a couple minutes. Welcome back to the Jay Pitts Show. I'm your co-host, Ryan Harris. This is Talk Radio 1080, Real News, Real Talk. All right, Jay, so you're going out of town this week. Is that for the R4 convention?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Well, Disney World with the kids.
Okay, so the R4 Remax convention is coming up, though.
It is.
So I got a question for you. What rules or tips should a first-timer going to Vegas know or set for themselves going?
Hold on. Is this just Vegas or R4?
Let's do Vegas so it applies to more people.
All right. So we can do both.
Okay.
We can do both. We can come through on both. Just Vegas, the rule should be do not stay more than 4 days.
Whoa,
Vegas.
that's way more than I would say no more than 2 nights.
Oh, no. You can do more than that.
I don't know. I've done 3 nights before, and I thought I was.
Well, you're also quite young, Ryan, so you probably hit it really hard. That goes into my second rule. Don't hit it too hard the first day.
Yeah.
You got to restrain yourself. Like, you fly in, you're messed up with the time change anyway, because that's, on Pacific time. So, you have a long travel day. If there's a layover, you get there, it's a lot earlier than it should be. Then your body clock is telling you it's about time for bed by the time you get there and get a meal, get checked into your room. But, it's Vegas, so they're pumping pure oxygen, the dinging bells of the slot machines, and, people tend to tap into those reserves a little bit for energy wise. Now, I'm not saying you go to bed the second you get there. You gotta get on the time. You gotta stay up a couple extra hours to get on their schedule. But man, do not drink too much on the first night.
Yeah.
That is it.
Or lose all the money you brought to gamble.
Or lose all the money you came to gamble with. I've got tons of rules with respect to gambling. We can get into that if you want, but I'll leave that alone for now. For R4, here's what I would tell you. If you're a part of my office, okay, or an office like mine, don't expect the classes to be groundbreaking because you've heard it all, right? Everything they're going to be teaching is something I've already taught you.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard from people here like, I wouldn't even go to them.
Well, a lot of people don't. I would say at R4, you should go to the morning session. There's usually a big headline speaker. It'll last till about lunch. There are breaks. You can, if you need to get some coffee to like knock the hangover out and a little greasy breakfast, get that before you go. Get your workout in if you're a workout person, which everyone should be, but get your workout in. Get in there for the morning session. There's usually like a non-real estate speaker on day one that is like a headliner type. So like I've heard Magic Johnson speak. He was awesome. What's the guy that is on CNBC? The Prophet. Marcus Lemonis was a really good speaker. Lou Holtz. Like there are sports, there are business people. Really good speakers usually. I've heard who's the 5-second rule lady that is very big on social?
I don't know.
I'll think of her name here in a minute. But anyway, there's a lot of, big names usually in there because it's a sizable conference. It's usually like 7,000 to 10,000 attendees. Okay, so there's that. Then you get like a real estate industry person. So that's your Tom Ferry's, your Brian Buffini's, sometimes your Gary Vaynerchuk types, guys like that. And you get, some sprinkling in of like that year's stats and accomplishments from the CEO and things like that, right? Big news. They break big news. There's always like a huge press release. So go to that. The afternoon, after lunch breakout sessions, like if there are something specific that you're not well versed in that you want to hear, like commercial real estate, for example, you don't get a lot of that here. Maybe you can go get a class for that. Don't expect for them to teach you groundbreaking social media tips and tricks. Everybody here is already ahead of the person teaching the class. Yeah. There'll be a video class. We do way more of that already than they do. Okay, so don't expect it. It is what it is.
Yeah, no, that's cool.
So afternoons for us have always been like team building, like spend time, play golf, ride dune buggies in the desert.
You playing any golf while you're there?
I think we're gonna play. I think we're gonna get out. We're gonna have to rent clubs, but
man, I can't remember what the course is called in the middle of downtown Vegas. I want to say it's maybe behind the MGM. No.
Well, behind MGM is Topgolf.
No, it's not MGM. I can't remember which hotel or casino, but it's the one they do all those like matches on TV of the celebrities at.
Very cool.
It's big course on my bucket list. $600 to play.
Okay.
But man, it looks so cool.
Yeah. I mean, we usually there's not a ton of serious golfers out there, so we have done like little events. Last year, I think we had 12 guys play. It was fun. I don't think we'll have that many this year.
Probably not. Okay. Oh, well, I want to say I had a friend there for Super Bowl weekend in Vegas. What do you think table minimums were at the big casinos?
I got to be 100.
200
minimum.
Yeah.
So anymore, it's 25 at all the regular casinos, like on regular, like off-peak times. Yeah. Like you can still find $5, $10 tables at some of the smaller casinos, but your anything on the Strip, MGM, Caesars. I mean, Caesars is a little higher end. Caesars and Bellagio, it's usually more like 50.
There's only one blackjack or casino that does $1 blackjack minimum still. Do you know where it is?
No.
It's the Hooters Casino.
Oh, well,
right across from the MGM.
Well, the funny thing is we've been to that numerous times because MGM is usually where R4 is. Mm-hmm. We're at Mandalay this year, which is great. It's the first time since the big shooting at Mandalay. They're going back. But yeah, they're apparently it's the only place that a Hooters still exists in the city of Las Vegas. So like we've gone and like as a group and ate and got wings. So
cool. All right, let's move on to some real estate talk. Let's see here. What do we want to talk about first? All right, here's a good one. If you could change one thing about the education requirements for real estate agents to get their license, what would it be?
So easy.
I have mine too.
I'd double it.
Double the cost?
I would double the cost too. The cost will probably double if you double the requirement. Because, I mean, you got to have people teach the courses. Double the hours required.
So mine's more towards the type of education. I think there needs to be a MLS-specific course that goes over the different contracts and the different paragraphs. Like, you have to read through it. I don't know what that course is, but there needs to be something that goes over the contracts.
So I would agree with that. I think that would be separate from the state. The problem that you run into is you have two governing bodies, right? You have the National Association, which has rules and regs that kind of filter down to the state and local associations, and that's typically where your contracts come in, right? Then you have the state licensure regulations and laws and license law and that kind of thing. And so it's just like it's two these like parallel governing bodies. I think maybe we could say that if you kept the licensing portion the same, then we could say that local associations should have a parallel certification required. Like you have to
a class you have to
you have to take and like before you can transact, before you can be a member. Mm-hmm. And so you can be licensed by the state of Kentucky, for example, to transact real estate, but you can't be a member of the Greater Louisville Association of Realtors until you do XYZ. But they have some training required, but there's no teeth to it.
Right.
It's like more like an orientation. where they teach you kind of how to use the MLS, but most people end up teaching themselves anyway.
Which using the MLS is not the important part. You'll figure that out.
No, the
Knowing the
contract.
contracts and how to fill them out and what they say and what they mean is the most important thing about the job we do, in my opinion.
I agree, and I frankly, I find our office has a competitive advantage there. The industry would be more healthy with something like you're talking about. For me, it kind of helps that they don't have that because I get to help people be brand new agents and better than other firms do. But I just think the less real estate agents, the better.
Yeah.
There's just too many. And so when you increase the cost or you increase the requirements, it means less competition. And that's not like me being like reductionist or anything. Like, I really think that our industry has a lot of the problems it has because lack of quality representation. Lack of quality representation kind of comes from a place of we don't have very educated people. Mm-hmm. It's very easy to get a license. It should be harder. I would have been fine even when I was going through it for it to have been harder. I don't say this just because, like, if you could require existing agents to do more education to keep their license in order to increase qualifications for new agents, I would be open to that.
Yep.
So it means I have to go back to school.
Yep.
I'm fine with that.
As long as, those courses actually teach you something or refresh your memory, because even the code of ethics and courses you have to take every year now, they don't really.
They're pretty easy.
Yeah. I mean, some of the answers on the multiple choice are like, no, duh, it's not these three.
I've always been a good test taker, so I've never had to really prepare too much for these real estate exams.
That's a good convo we can have about test taking. I've always been a pretty decent test taker as well, and I don't think I'm that intelligent of a person. I'll just say it. In some aspects where I focus on, yes, I am. But overall, if you throw me into a trivia night, I'm not going to help you. But we'll talk about test taking when we come back. We're going to cut to a couple ad sponsors, and we'll be back on the Jay Pitt Show, Talk Radio 1080, Real News, Real Talk. Welcome back to the Jay Pitt Show. I'm your co-host, Ryan Harris. This is Talk Radio 1080, Real News, Real Talk. All right, test taking. People that say they're bad test takers, is that a cop-out for them not knowing the material well enough?
I think there's something to it, but I think it's incumbent upon you to overcome it.
Yeah.
So, like, if it doesn't help me either way, it doesn't make me feel better or worse for you. Like, I mean, of course, there are people out there that have learning disabilities, dyslexia, what have you, ADHD, things like that are very real, issues. Okay, so does that mean that you don't achieve the things that you want because of this, or do you persevere through it? It's kind of like the same approach I take to anything else. There are things I'm not great at. My wife reads probably 5x faster than I do and retains the same. That is a disadvantage that I have by comparison to her, right? I mean, she was an incredible student. I was a good student. I think we're probably equal in ability, from an intelligence standpoint, but she has a decided advantage. She can retain the same information in 1/5 of the amount of time it takes to read that it would take me.
Yeah, dude, I could read a page now and get done with it and be like, I don't remember one thing I just read.
Yeah, you have to read it 5 more times before you retain it.
I listen to Audible books some when I run, and I can only do about 15, 20 minutes before I start zoning out.
I do the same thing.
And I'm I'll turn it off and listen next time. But I listen to audiobooks on 2.5x speed.
Okay.
So it's like.
My wife read a 1,000-page book in a week.
Jeez.
Like, now she's very invested. It's a series that it's the final book in a series that she's been reading. And 1,000 pages in a week, literally a week. She got it. It might have been less. I think I remember her saying she had already started the book, so maybe it was 7 days. She said, I have 6 days before we go on our trip. And she finished it last night.
Wow. Gonna have to find a new book.
Yeah. She's got 2 more to take on vacation.
Okay, let's hop into some more real estate talk here. This is more on rental and investment side of things. So, Jay, when you sell, you own a lot of rental properties. So when you go to sell a rental property, how do you price that rental property that you own? How do you come up with the list price?
Yeah, it's funny because I've only ever sold one.
Really?
A rental.
I did not
I've
know
only
that.
ever sold one rental that I've owned.
Okay.
Market value. I let it go vacant. That is the way to do it.
Think so? Yeah.
Absolutely. Apartments could be different. Depends on the size. It depends on like a fourplex.
Let's say it's a duplex. Is it better to have one rented and the other vacant?
It really depends. I'll touch on that. What I would think about that situation. I would say the fewer units, the more likely you are to want it to be more vacant. If you have a duplex that is, 3 years old in great condition, bringing great rent with impeccable tenants, and you can like justify all that, and you have like, your rental application and all your records and everything, maybe it doesn't need to be. You can take really good photos, right? You can take really good photos. You don't have to, the buyer doesn't have to assume the condition all that much.
Yeah.
Then it's a little more acceptable to not have ready access for a prospective buyer. If you've got a trash fourplex with low end rents, below median, below market rents, and curb appeal's terrible, like, and you can't get anybody in it, like, and your price is aggressive, like, I mean, that's tough because people want to see what they're buying. People assuming someone else's tenants want to know the qualification of those tenants, and you have no way of showing them.
Yeah.
If it's a house, for me, I'm going to let it go vacant because a house is most certainly highest and best use is owner occupancy, and selling it to an owner occupant is going to bring more value. So it's kind of almost a delayed flip to me. When I buy a rental property, I want it to positive cash flow. I want it to increase in value. So the first one I ever bought, you remember the story I told you about the flip with the dog feces and all that?
Yep.
So I reinvested the profits from that flip into this rental. That's how long ago I bought it.
Wow.
I bought it in probably, 2006, and I sold it last year. So I'd owned it roughly 15 years, and I financed it on a 30-year fixed rate mortgage. I refied it when rates dropped. It was like a $1,200 a month rental. I paid $135 for it when I bought it. I probably missed 1 or 2 months rent in 15 years. So it paid for itself for plus some for a long time. And then, it came vacant and I decided to sell, and, I priced it at $300,000, and I put about 30 grand in it, deferred maintenance over the years, new glass, sliding door, new flooring throughout, all new paint, new countertops. You know what I mean?
Let's say
and I flipped it.
Let's go towards, let's say it's a duplex or a triplex, then can't be used as a single family home. Yeah. How do you look at pricing for that?
I mean, still market based.
Do you pay attention more to the rent they're getting?
Yes. But, you're looking at less savvy investors, less capitalized, investors. So market value, you can, comparable sale approach, you can usually, at least in Louisville, you can find, especially if it's like old Louisville, 3 to 4 or 5 units, like you can find a ton of comps. It really depends, on the market. Like the cap rate matters less the smaller the investment. Does that make sense?
Yep.
I mean, you got people buying 4 and 5 caps in old Louisville with the expectation that property values are going to go up because, it's a $300,000 investment. It's not a $3 million investment. If you're talking about 36 units, at $100,000 a unit, 3.6 mil, right? Like, cap rate matters. If it's a 5, somebody's not going to buy it. If it's a 7, it will absolutely sell.
Yeah.
So income is, the larger the investment, the more the income matters.
What would you say is the average cap rate that investors look for on duplexes, triplexes?
Small. higher than normal. You're wanting like a 7 right now. It's fine. You can find it. It's tough. 6 is pretty common. 5 sometimes depending on location. Like you can buy 5. You can buy 5 caps and like in you can see 4. You can sell 4s and 4 and 5 caps in St. Matthews.
Yeah.
You know, just based on location.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've said often, like, there's a gap, right? When you get north of $1 million, you start seeing sales slow down. But like anything under $1 million in like multifamily, that's your small business owner, your doctor, your lawyer, your high income individual buying for themselves that want safety and security.
Yep.
They're using saved earned income to purchase real estate investments that are it's almost like a CD.
Yeah.
You're buying a CD. You're not going to get hurt on a 4-plex in St. Matthews. You can take a 4 cap, a 4% return essentially on a St. Matthews 4-plex because that's better than the 2% you get on a CD.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's slightly more risk, but they look at it the very same way. But you start getting up north of $1 million, well, that starts making people a little more nervous.
Just the number, I think, too.
The high income individual that has, you know, relatively speaking, a good net worth, but it's not a $50 million hedge fund budget, right? They're not. It's not a general partner, you know, out of Nashville bringing in, you know, $50 million in LP money to invest in Louisville apartments. Like, you know what I mean? It's just different.
Yeah. So I'll tell you where all these questions came from. They're to help me.
That's good.
So yes, I do use the show to
get to coach on
ask
air.
questions that I have sometimes. I'm working on pricing after this show, after we record this.
Yeah.
Pricing a 4-plex, 2 triplexes, and a duplex all beside each other in 40216.
Okay.
For some people that want to sell.
Okay. 40216 is, I mean, that's a good rental market. You'll get good.
4 of the units are vacant. The rest are rented.
Yep.
Pulling in gross with the 4 vacant, like $7,500
okay
a month, and net like around $5,000.
Okay.
So I think their operating expenses are like 25%, which is pretty solid.
Pretty decent. Do they self-manage?
They do.
See, that's why. Because you don't have another 6 to 10% in management fees.
Yeah.
Right. But and owners that self-manage tend to have lower maintenance costs.
Mm-hmm.
Just because, I mean, like, you know, it's tough. Property management's a tough business. It's dirty business.
For those listening, I'm trying to see if Jay's going to buy these or if he's going to tell me somebody who will buy them.
You haven't told me a price yet.
Yeah, I'm still working on it.
He's still working on it. So, yeah. So I need to go back and change my recommendation.
Yeah.
No, I don't angle and I don't do deals. I've bought from our clients in the past, and I pay market value. I mean, I tell them when they have better options. You know, what's market value though? But what a buyer will give and what a seller will accept without unnormal duress. So, you know, to me, there is a market value to me. I offer what I think it is. If they want more than that, then we try to take it to market and find somebody who'll pay more.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we will cut to a couple ad sponsors, and we'll be back for our last segment on the Jay Pitts Show, Talk Radio 1080, Real News, Real Talk. We will see you in a couple minutes.
And we're back, folks. Welcome back to the Jay Pitts Show. All right, Ryan, what else can I help you with? Your appointments that you're going on this afternoon.
See, this is how Jay is my broker, so I can go to him with these questions anyways, but this is how
we're
hard
multitasking.
You know, Jay is in the office basically every day, sitting in here with this door open. Like, that is the broker he is, but it is tough to pin him down sometimes. So,
well, it's because there's like a line at the door half the time.
I got to use the hour I get every week.
That's good. We're good with that.
So, all right, let's see. I was laying in bed. Actually, it wasn't laying in bed. It was this morning. I got up early and was kind of planning this show, doing it a little earlier than we normally do. Supras. Was Louisville using Supras when you first were an agent? So you've been using them for
I've always done
time.
Supra. You know, Hardin County had Supra then as well, much to my dismay. They switched to the other thing. Yeah, Central Lock, which is frustrating in some ways, easier in others.
I like the Century Lock better.
Well, they have a code. It's easy to get a code. The
Now
code.
you don't even have to do that. You just walk up to it, you hit enter, and it.
Yeah. Well, if you're not a member, so that's a big liability, I think, for Supra, which they seem to have some sort of solution now, but it's kind of clunky. But like, for example, if an E-Town agent that's not a member of Louisville wanted to come to Louisville to show a house on Supra, they don't have the key, they don't have the app, so they can't get access, and that's a frustration for the listing agent because you want to sell your house, but you don't want to go meet some agent and half the time they're late. Anyway, Centra has a one-time code now because there are buttons actually on the box most of the time. They can just send you a code. You can punch the code in, and you can get access to the box.
So for those listening, if you're not a real estate agent, these are the lock boxes we use.
Yeah.
Now Supra. I did figure out you can give anybody access now to open at one time, and I'm glad I figured it out. It was like this was 10 o'clock at night on like a Friday. Had a couple drinks already. This is a few months ago. And my client reaches out, like, I need you to call me now. I'm like, oh, great, what is this? But they didn't have a key to their house. They went through the garage, and that's how they got in, their garage door. Well, an agent, I locked that door. And I'm like, buddy, I'm not going to be able to come out there. Like, I guess I get an Uber and open it for you. But ended up, like, took 30, 45 minutes, figured it out, got him a code, downloaded the app, and he got in.
Well, it's funny because Phil, one of our agents here at the office, had a similar situation. I mean, he's at home alone with kids, and I guess his client, who is kind of not really staying at home, she has another place that she can be, not really staying at home, but is very serious about, the lights getting turned off and the blinds getting closed after showings. And we've given explicit instructions to real estate agents, but they don't follow them. We know that. And so she drives by the house and doesn't have her keys, and calls Phil and says, hey, I need to get in the house to turn these off. Phil knew he had a late showing, had every intention of going by this morning to double check, just a few hours removed. She wouldn't ask him to come out there that evening. It was 8 o'clock last night. The showing was at 7. Yep. But she wanted to turn him off last night. And so he posted on our internal, message, Slack channel. And is anybody in the Highlands, one of our agents that lives not too far from there, said, yeah, sure. I'll run over and let her in. She figured it out. She had a friend close by that had a key. She ended up getting in before they had to do that. But same situation. It would have been nice to just say, hey, one-time code, give her the code. She could have done it herself. She had no qualms with Phil. He was trying really hard at 8 o'clock last night to make this happen. Yeah. Anyway, these are the plight of being a realtor.
Yeah, just random things that happen. Okay, let's jump to Tiger Woods and Sunday Red.
I know.
So
I'm not a fan of the logo.
Well, here's my thoughts on this whole thing. The logo could have been even worse than it is, and the name could have been worse, whatever. As long as the clothes look good, he's going to be able to sell as much as he wants. Thing is, I don't think the clothes are what people wear nowadays. Like, I wasn't that impressed with them. I think he might be a little out of touch with what people are wearing nowadays. Like the golf world, like what typical people like you and I are wearing out there. If you
notice, which, I mean, I'm closer to Tiger Woods' age than you are, but like, I haven't seen the full lineup, but what I've seemed to notice is he is a very fit guy.
Oh, yes.
I mean, he's jacked. Yep. Like, he's even bigger now than before he hurt his knee. And so you can tell he's really focused on his fitness, which is great. I love that he's doing a classic black hat that looks very similar to what he's done. But like, and I get the whole Sunday Red vibe thing that he's trying to go for. I didn't like the Tiger logo.
Looks like Slazenger.
I think it did. It gives me La Costa vibes with the little alligator, and I don't like that.
Yeah.
And I don't like. People are wearing slim pants. People are wearing shorter shorts, and he still wears
shirts.
He tighter shirts. He wears big baggy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He's jacked.
Long shorts.
He wears long shorts. He doesn't wear joggers. Like, people are wearing golf pants that look almost like joggers now.
Yeah.
and are actually kind of our joggers. Everything has gotten way more casual, and I don't think he's keeping up.
Yeah, I was talking to a few buddies last night about it. Like, think about all the manpower that went into planning this and the branding and the design and people sitting in meetings. And there were probably a couple interns or lower level people that knew, like,
Hey,
this is not going to go well, and they knew it the whole time, but they couldn't speak up because they were lower level.
Well, I heard that he was doing a deal with Travis Matthew.
Yeah, I think it's TaylorMade though, isn't it?
And
they own Travis. Wait, did Callaway buy Travis?
I don't
Matthew
know.
Or did TaylorMade?
I don't know. I also heard that he was doing a deal with Topgolf, which may be a thing still. And I was excited when I heard Travis Matthew because they seem to get it. It's probably maybe the biggest new golf brand in terms of apparel. Would you agree with that?
It's launch that everybody knows.
Yeah, I mean, like not like Titleist. Like, obviously they have apparel. Mizuno has apparel.
I would say Malbon is like the new. They're making waves.
Yeah,
like Malbon is. It's more luxury golf clothing though. Their stuff is expensive.
Yeah, Travis Matthews stuff's not cheap either. But
well,
I mean,
if you look
comparison.
at Malbon, you're gonna be like,
okay, like $200 polos and stuff.
Yeah, like try like some of their jackets.
Like Travis Matthew polos are like $99.
Some of their jackets are like $600.
What?
Like
Jacket?
it's crazy.
Like pullover?
Yeah, like it's
to play golf in.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well,
yeah,
that's a little weak. Okay, but still, I don't know, man. I hope men my age are getting dragged left and right for like their inability to follow culture. I don't know if you saw the Nick Lachey thing. Justin Timberlake.
Oh my gosh.
Justin Timberlake
The
is
singing.
getting. Yes, but Justin Timberlake's getting it a little bit for like his song is doing well, and I actually enjoy the song, and I think his album will probably do well. But like his dancing, and his clothes, his style, he's wearing like a baggy suit, like baggy suit. Like, and I realized that, like, especially in women, like the baggier pants are coming back in.
Yeah. Well, it is for men actually too.
But like
I can't do that though. Like I can't. But they're like baggier pants with like pockets on the side, like cargo pants. I mean, I'm not wearing that.
Yeah, it's
I
not.
Can't do it.
It makes me cringe.
You know who gives us crap more than anybody else for our pants being a little just above the ankle? Matt Hoagland.
Oh yeah, of course he does.
Calling him out.
It's because he's short.
Oh, I could.
I mean, that's why.
I could see him buying the Sunday red stuff.
There you go. I mean, I have gone to the shorter pants. That's for sure.
Matt Hoagland said he's going to pay for our January golf trip with Bitcoin because it's doing well.
There you go, Bitcoin.
I'm
love it.
No, you're not, because you're not selling it.
You better not. Yeah, you better not sell.
Yeah,
you hung on now back to 50. Like, you better just not sell.
Yeah, it's I saw like net inflows yesterday was 500 million.
Crazy, man.
Which is like equal to 10,000 Bitcoin.
It's more impressive where it is now than what it was at its peak.
Absolutely.
Because cash is so much tighter now.
Yeah.
Disposable income is tighter. I mean, like the people that got that got Bitcoin now, it's true diamond hands these days.
Well,
it's not the government flushing money into the economy.
Yeah, 80% of Bitcoin hasn't moved in 6 months, and there's only I think it's like 2.5 or 3 million tradable Bitcoin right now that's out there that keeps getting traded. But as these ETFs keep getting bought, I mean, obviously the price is going to keep going up above 50. But just to say it stays at 50, I mean, there's only like 6 months of supply if this inflow keeps going the way it is every day. Net inflow of 500 million. So there was more than 500 million bought. It was
I mean, people selling. Well, it's there's a lot of weak holdings. People that bought in, saw it drop, got scared, said as soon as it gets back to 50, I'm selling. People that bought in at 55 that said, well, if it gets back to 50, I'm out. But so recent peak is 50,225 it appears, and we're down 2% today at 48.7. I mean, I'm not, me, I'm interested, but it's from a more of a pop culture standpoint. I own a very, very small amount, and I bought a ton of real estate. So,
yep. Maybe we should call this pop real estate. This whole thing.
That would be good. Be good. Might be a good name for a future podcast.
Real pop.
Might be a good name for a future podcast. We'll see.
Yeah, future as in next week.
Next. Anyway, that's all the time we got for you this episode, folks. We do appreciate you joining in to the J Pitts Show for the last year or so. Unfortunately, this is going to be our last episode here on Talk Radio 1080. We've appreciated the time you spent with us. You can find us out on the internets and on the socials. We'll be around.
Still will be a podcast. We'll
Still
just say
will.
it.
Yeah,
So.
there you go. All right. Appreciate you so much. Find us on the socials. For Ryan Harris, I'm your host, Jay Pitts. We'll see you soon.